Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular show of Community Affairs, and today we are here with our special episode of Meet Your Councilman. We have in our studio CM Rafael Espinal Jr. with us. CM Espinal, welcome to our show.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
You have been elected to the New York City Council in 2013, and you represent the District of 37. And that includes a diverse community of Bushwick, Cypress Hill, and Brownsville, and of course the East New York. You do chair the Committee of Consumers Affairs, and you also contribute to a different committees on housing, immigration and public safety, health, and also the Committee on State and Federal Legislation. You're also part of the Black, Latino, and Asian Caucus. The first question that I would like to ask you is, the New York City primaries are coming up, and on 12th September, we're having the primaries. What is your mandate for the next term that you'll be taking your office?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate that no one's running against me, right? But you still have to do the process in order to get on the ballot to run for your election, and I was able to go out there and receive the signatures from my community in order to become their candidate on the ballot. So I'm very grateful for everyone who signed the petition to get me on to be their next city council member. I'm really concerned about the state of affairs in Washington, D.C., right? We have a president who disregards all of the values and concerns that we as citizens of New York City, residents of New York City, truly believe in, right? When you talk about immigration, it has become one of his cornerstone issues to stop the flow of immigration into our cities and our country. I think we saw it a few months ago when he put a ban on certain countries in the Middle East from allowing people of certain religion to come into the United States, to the point where people were being denied entry. You know, I remember the big protest that we did out in JFK Airport, which I was a part of.
Coming to this issue of what is happening in the immigration in the U.S. After the election of 2016, you and your administration has actually introduced a legislation which is for protecting the rights of the immigrants. And there what you have said is that that bill will prevent city agencies from using city resources to aid federal immigrant enforcement. So given the situation, what is happening in Washington, D.C. now, and how the New York City Councils and the New York administrations are responding to that, how do you think NYC Council will face this in the long run with the federal government? And what are the apparatus you have in your hand that you will be able to stop deportation if there is mass case of that?
Yeah, so again, this is a step we're taking to make sure that cities are taking the lead on the conversation of what we think is important. And New York City believes that protecting our immigrants is one of our top priorities. And, you know, the mayor actually said earlier in the year that New York City and created a mandate that New York City is a sanctuary city, meaning already that city agencies will not cooperate with federal authorities to deport immigrants out of our city and make sure that we protect our families, making sure we're not tearing families apart. What my bill does is ensures that New York City stays a sanctuary city. You know, what the mayor did is something that could be overturned by the next administration. So what my law would do was mandate for all city agencies from here on out, from today up into the future till the end of time, that we are not allowed to cooperate with city agencies when it comes to deportation. So that means enforcement officials cannot enter our school buildings, cannot enter certain workplaces. The city will not provide any sort of resources to help them locate immigrants. You know, I think one of the big fears that we had at some point was the NYCID, and how the NYCID database was going to be given to the federal government to help them identify who or where the immigrants are in our city to to help them deport those immigrants. But this law would again bar the city from allowing that information be given to federal authorities to aid them in deporting individuals.
Well, CM Espinal, you have taken lots of different initiatives, different parts, different times in your tenure. And one of them was in 2014, when you have actually wanted to have halal food for all the Muslim students across the New York City schools. And New York has almost like 170,000 students who are Muslims. And that time you said, while, I'm quoting you, while there is an ongoing conversation of providing free lunch to every student, we must also be progressive in instituting lunches that respect the faiths of New York City's diverse population. And at that time you said that there has been no date that has been set for hearing on this proposed resolution. So this time when you will take office again, do you think you'll be working on this particularly?
Yeah, so this resolution was a resolution that's never been done before, right? I actually brought this conversation because I represent a big Muslim population in my district, and I've heard the stories of their children going to school and not having access to lunch or not eating lunch, going through the school day hungry, not being able to concentrate, do their work. And I thought it was important the city, while again we're having this conversation of providing free school lunches to every single student across the city, that we should focus on feeding those hungry students who are not able to eat the normal school lunch, you know. So we should invest in halal lunches and kosher lunches so that our students will not go hungry, right? And I think it's important that we continue pushing this conversation because to this day we have not had a hearing. And the reason we have not had a hearing is because we haven't had enough support in the council to be able to push that conversation. So I think it's important now more than ever that the viewers go out and vote for elected officials who are going to support that resolution so that we'll be able to start that conversation in the city council.
In the city council. Another important initiative that you have taken this Thursday, you said that the council is going to pass this bill on the food for hungry New Yorkers. It's a very interesting initiative that you have taken, that you have a bill that will create a website where these supermarkets and restaurants can offer to donate their unused food, and the nonprofits and shelter houses, they can take that food and distribute it among the hungry people in New York City. Again, here I would like to quote you. You said that we must do everything we need to connect food waste to hungry New Yorkers instead of sending it to our landfills. How you think you are going to implement the entire process? If you're launching the website, but then how, again, you're going to connect this hungry New Yorkers and the nonprofit organizations?
Yeah, so I think this is a way to allow for our current technology to bridge those gaps, right? I think that we've used a traditional method of disseminating information to food banks and to communities, let them know where they can go out and get access to this food, but we haven't really thought about how we can use technology to bridge that gap of communication, right? So I envision this as being an easy way for any small business, any supermarket that would normally throw away food that's maybe going to expire in a few days, or maybe the apple or the orange that no one wants to buy because it looks a little funny, and be able to allow them to post this on a website, and all the nonprofits that are looking for extra food for their food pantries and for their communities able to see where this food is located, and they're able to have that conversation and schedule a pickup so that that food can be given to the hungry New Yorkers who are in need of that food.
And the council is going to follow up with it? Is
Yes,
there any plan to do that?
Actually today we voted it out of its committee, sanitation committee, and later this week we're actually going to have a full vote and make this law. So hopefully by sometime next year, this is a website that will be accessible to all the nonprofits and businesses in our city.
That's a great initiative, CM Espinal. And another very interesting initiative that you took is urban farming and our environment. And what you are advocating is that, along with the Borough President Eric Adams, you are introducing a bill to create a plan for urban farming, and it is going to happen in the neighborhood where people could grow local, healthy food, and that is also going to create job, you said. and to support the environment. Of course, it's going to support environment because we'll have greeneries all
Right.
over, and having healthy food is definitely will have healthy population. But the question here is, in such a crazy busy city like this Big Apple, I mean, how you're going to make people do the plantations, and how you are going to go about this entire procedure, if you could explain.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to point something. I think that a lot of the issues I've been working on is all around food, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I think a healthy diet is important for our children, for our seniors, and for anyone to be able to live a healthy lifestyle. So that's why I focus a lot on making sure that we have access to the food that we need. And urban gardening is important to that conversation because a lot of our communities do not have access to this fresh fruits and vegetables that more affluent communities might have. So urban farming will help expand an industry that's already sprouting up in a lot of rooftops and within a lot of warehouses. And when you even think about within the backyards of some of our neighbors, right? And I want to make sure that the city recognizes the work that's being done, but also creates a plan that will make it easier for this industry to grow across our city. Because I believe this industry is able to grow, then we'll have more access to these fresh fruits and vegetables. Yes, you mentioned that, how will busy New Yorkers take the time out to grow their own fruits and vegetables. But, this is the way I envision it, is that there's already people out there who are doing this for a living. They do this as a business model. They sell fruits and vegetables that they're growing to supermarkets like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. So while that is already occurring, I also believe that there are seniors out there and there are teenagers in the summer who can take that time, that free time that they have, to get involved in that conversation and within the industry, or even within their own backyards or their rooftops. Because currently you can't grow fresh fruits and vegetables on your rooftop. Only certain rooftops have the ability to do that.
Benefits to do
so
that.
I think that this is the way to move forward so that everyone can take part of that.
But the plantation in New York City is only possible during the summertime. And you said it is you would like to associate it with job creation. So what are the people going to do during the winter season?
Yeah, so I would say half of what happens is only able to happen in summertime because yes, it's on rooftops, yes, it's outdoors, but there are a lot of parts of this industry that is actually growing fresh fruits and vegetables in basements and in warehouses using special lighting and a lot of TLC, tender loving care to what they're growing. So it's very possible for farmers to be able to grow food in our city within the winter months.
So what you said, it requires a lot of technological support. And what do you think is going to be the cost incurred on that?
Well,
it sounds like a very big project.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the businesses. It's obviously a profitable industry because they are a part of this conversation and they want to see the city actually get involved in this conversation because they want to be able to grow their business. So I think that with the right strategy and the right business plan, that it could be a very profitable business, especially at a time where we're talking about food deserts within our own city and how we're going to fill those gaps. So there is a need. It's just a matter of the right financial planning and doing what you think is best for your business.
Yeah. CM Espinal, one very important point to note here, the district that you represent, district number 37, has South Asian population of, among your immigrant population, it has almost like more than 42% of South Asian population, of which 9% are Bangladeshis, 33% are Indians, and 1% Pakistanis. So next time when you are taking your office, what is one very important factor that you're going to do for the immigrant population in your area?
I mean, the immigrant population...
apart from what we have discussed
yeah,
so
I mean,
far.
I think those are very key milestone issues that I'm looking to continue working on if we don't do this within the next few months, in the next 4 years, right? But I just want the population to know that their story and their struggles are personal to me. My parents are Dominican immigrants. They were able to come to this country when they were younger and raise a family of 6 and buy a house and be able to work in this city. And I think that it's important that every immigrant that comes to this country to live the American dream has that same opportunity. And it's very difficult. I understand it's very difficult now. Rents are going up. The cost of living in the city is going up, and our wages aren't going up, and the access to jobs aren't going up. So it's important that we as a city council start focusing on how we can create more opportunity and make sure that every immigrant that comes to this country can come and live that American dream they came here for.
And CM Espinal, we are almost at the end of our show. The last thing that I would like to ask you, that we believe that you have a passion for music. How do you maintain this? Do you still practice music, or you are always busy in your office?
I'm always busy, but I know that I'm too busy when I'm not listening to music or playing music on my own time. So it kind of keeps me in balance and a check, right? But I think music is very important, and this city, again, has to take a stance and recognize how important music is to the culture of our city and the identity of our city. We're known as a city that never sleeps. We're known as a city that's open to all cultures. And I think that music helps identify cultures. That music helps bring people together. Music, again, helps people to be able to socially express themselves. So we have to be the leader in supporting the music industry, supporting the nightlife industry, so that we continue being that vibrant place that we're known for.
Tell us something about the nightlife that you have been, another initiative that you have taken up in your office in order to have a safe nightlife in New York. Something about that.
Yeah, so I have a bill that will create the Office of Nightlife, and there are many reasons I decided to introduce this bill. And the two that are very important to me is, one, small businesses that are bars, that are dancing clubs, feel that the city has too many regulations in place in order for them to thrive. So you see a lot of bars and clubs that are very popular in our city closing its doors because they can't afford all the fines, all the regulations, and the cost to do business here. And two, as elected official, you hear a lot of the complaints from residents about all the noise going on in their streets, about the crime that's occurring in their streets. So this bill will take all of those issues into account and figure out how the city can be helpful in bridging that conversation between both sides, make nightlife safer, make the quality of life complaints go down, while also supporting the businesses and giving them the tools they need to be successful in our city. We saw this model done in Amsterdam and in London, and they've seen the drop in crime and drop in quality of life complaints by 30% in the past 2 years. So I think this is a great way to start that conversation here in our city and really start supporting our nightlife and our music scene and our communities all at the same time.
One last question, CM Espinal, is that how accessible you're going to be for your immigrant population, because that's very important at this time of the Trump regime. Yeah,
I mean, I'm very accessible. My office is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. You can find me on Facebook, Rafael Espinal Jr. You can find me on Twitter. But I want to let the immigrant population know as well. I have an immigration lawyer in my office that provides free legal help. I believe 1 or 2 times a week. So if you need legal help, if you need to help bring a family member into the country, if you have to apply for your citizenship, if you're facing deportation issues, you can come to my office and there'll be a free legal lawyer there to kind of help you navigate those issues.
Thank you, CM Espinal, for being with us tonight. Thank you all for staying with us on our special episode of Community Affairs Meet Your Councilman. We will be up again with another councilman in our next episode. Till then, stay tuned with Time Television.